Welcome to the FWA Academy's Best of 2005 DVD. I'm going to be taking you through 12 of the year's best matches. First up, we have a pretty special match between James Tighe and Paul Birchall, which marked the end of a feud that had been going since they both started training. This match happened in January and was Paul Birchall's final match before he headed off to America to start a promising career in the WWE. Let's take a look.
Coming up next is a match that took place in January 2005, myself against Paul Birchall in his very last match in the UK.
James Tighe, the first son of the FWA Academy, making his way out. Tighe slapping hands with fans at ringside. And James Tighe is ready to do battle with a perennial rival in the form of Paul Birchall in his last ever match here for the FWA Academy.
And his opponent,
Paul Birchall, a man with whom James Tighe has had many epic confrontations over the years, and this, their final encounter for the FWA Academy. Who knows when their paths will cross again down the line, but there he is, the man himself, looking in unbelievable physical condition. Paul Birchall circling the ring. And these fans are on their feet, leaning over the barricades because they know that this is their last chance to see this phenomenal athlete live at the Academy. Birchall due to fly to America any day now, ready to take on James Tighe, the man who helped train him, befriended him outside of the ring.
introducing first from Chichester, he was the 2001 Rookie of the Year, James Tighe. And making this last appearance tonight for the FWA Academy from Guildford, he was the 2003 Rookie of the Year. I give you Paul Birchall.
Paul Birchall. The bell has rung on Birchall's final match. and Tighe and Birchall shake hands, a show of respect that they have earned through many battles, many wars fought within the squared circle. Both men have gained a firm measure of respect for each other. Tighe now with a wrist lock on the larger Birchall. Birchall, an astonishing technical wrestler, an incredible physical specimen. And James Tighe, a technical marvel himself, taking Birchall down using all the leverage he can. Birchall with a beautiful reversal into a wrist lock. Birchall switching to another wrist lock, keeping the pressure firmly applied. James Tighe twisting all the way out. And Tighe stepping through, searching for a way out, but Birchall dropping him with a top wrist lock. And slowly relinquishing the hold. The fans applauding, a respectful move from them and from Birchall, allowing Tighe to get back up onto his feet. Tighe, however, going low with a single leg takedown. And now going that left leg, lovely toe hold and knee bar there. Birchall searching for a way out. Tighe batting the leg away. Birchall, however, twisting over, and a beautiful reversal there. Dan Williams-like from Birchall. Tighe, however, back in a head scissors, and Birchall, perhaps the only man in the academy with legs larger than Tighe's. Perhaps Mark Underwood could be added to that list as well. And James Tighe squeezing with all his might. Birchall searching for a way out. He knows plenty, but easier said than done. However, there he goes, lifting James Tighe off and chucking him away. Fantastic reversal to the head scissors. Birchall and Tighe tentatively locking up. Greco-Roman knuckle lock. Test of strength from these two. And Paul Birchall, the bigger man, the stronger man, not by a huge margin. And a bridge up. James Tighe with a picture-perfect wrestler's bridge. Birchall applying all his weight with those knees. And finally allowing James Tighe to roll backwards, however. Tighe second-guessing him, landing on his feet. And these two locked up. Birchall breaking the deadlock, however. Lovely three-quarter roll into a front hammerlock takeover. And fantastic pinning combination there by Paul Birchall, keeping the arm locked on tightly. Birchall lifting him to his feet, snapmare with the arm, and a beautiful submission now. Paul Birchall with James Tighe on the back foot, both those arms pulled backwards, and now Birchall segueing into a reverse chin lock. Tighe rolling backwards, landing back up on his feet and taking Birchall down with a trademark Tighe front face lock takedown. Tighe bearing down upon him on the mat. Birchall gradually getting back up to his feet and searching for an elbow out. Tighe keeping him down, however, and Birchall 1, 2 and a kick out, but James Tighe, unbelievable, holding on to that face lock. Birchall with a Northern Lights suplex, but James Tighe ever so tenacious, holding on 1, 2 and once more. James Tighe holding on, maintaining his grip, refusing to relinquish the front face lock after 2 Northern Lights suplexes, still holding on.
1, 2, 3.
And James Tighe walking out of the corner, Birchall backing away. These two know each other so well. They know each other's strengths and weaknesses. And these two locking up one more time. James Tighe kicking over and reversing into a fantastic Japanese strangle, double arm. And James Tighe now going to work, putting the boots to him and a short arm shoulder block into a short arm scissors. James Tighe, so fluid, such a joy to watch in the ring, although it must be agony to be on the receiving end of his fluid arsenal of varied manoeuvres, and Birchall searching for a way out of the short arm scissors. Slowly making his way to his feet, James Tighe on his back, and surely not. Birchall, the only man in the academy strong enough to do that, lifting James Tighe by one arm and dumping him onto his back, and Tighe taking a well-deserved break on the outside.
2, 3,
Tighe gradually getting up.
4, 5.
Both men composing themselves, ready to go in again. They do so. James Tighe ducking behind, however, looking for an amateur takedown. Incredibly hard to do on a man the size of Birchall, approaching 300 pounds of solid cut muscle. Series of elbows, clothesline ducked, and my God, German suplex by James Tighe, hoisting Birchall over and onto his shoulders and head. 1, 2, kick out. Rear chin lock, series of knees to the back by James Tighe, bearing down upon Paul Birchall. Incredible strength from Tighe, flinging him with that German suplex. Birchall fighting back onto his feet, amazingly resilient. Birchall taken down, but we've seen the man absorb so much. Near invincible is he. And Tighe with that clothesline and straight back to the rear chin lock. The crowd solidly behind Birchall. He makes it back to his feet. Series of shots to the gut, ducking a clothesline from Tighe, being taken down hard with a back elbow from James Tighe, who is back to the rear chin lock. And Birchall fighting bravely up to his feet once more, breaking the hold with a series of elbow. Tighe looking for a clothesline, looking for a back elbow, and my God, Paul Birchall launching himself across the length of the ring with that flying clothesline, taking Tighe down. Actually unbelievable athleticism there from Paul Birchall. Hard kick to the gut now by Tighe. And an enormous European uppercut. One more, staggering Birchall into the ropes. And a third, sending him reeling onto his back. James Tighe felling the behemoth. 1, 2, and a kick out by Paul Birchall. James Tighe lifting Birchall into the ropes. Lovely drop kick from Tighe. Fantastic jump, beautiful arch. And 1, 2, kick out before the 3 count, says referee Andy Quilden. James Tighe soldiering on, doing his best to wear down Birchall, and he's done a very effective job so far. High suplex, Birchall landing on his feet, and an amazing snap power slam. Birchall charging off the ropes and hitting a somersault senton splash. 1, 2, and a kick out. Incredible manoeuvre from Paul Birchall there. That snap power slam executed with such military-like precision, drilling Tighe onto his back, and that somersault senton splash really hitting the mark. All near 300 pounds of Birchall landing hard across Tighe's stomach. And Tighe being sent off the ropes, Irish whip, and a back elbow from Birchall. Enormous elbow drop from the big man. And a unique cover. James Tighe kicking out before the 3. Once more, the crowd vocalising their support for Paul Birchall. Fisherman suplex, fantastic arch. 1, 2, but no. Paul Birchall rolling fisherman's into a fisherman buster. James Tighe on his head. 1, 2, and a kick out.
1.
James Tighe barely moving. Birchall nearly motionless. Both men have absorbed a great deal within this matchup. Both men attempting to suck it up, get back up onto their feet, continue fighting. Paul Birchall is up first. James Tighe slowly getting up to meet him, almost having to claw his way up Paul Birchall's legs to his feet. High suplex and brainbuster, drilling James Tighe onto his head. 1, 2, and a kick out. Standing shooting star press onto James Tighe. 1, 2, and a kick out just before the 3 count out of nowhere. Paul Birchall, shooting star press. Unbelievable stuff. A man of his size should not be able to move the way he does. Paul Birchall defies expectations every time he's in the ring and proves that he can do things that men his size should not physically be able to accomplish. That standing shooting star press. We've seen the standing moonsault from him. All manner of bizarre and ungodly manoeuvres. Irish whip, James Tighe vaulting over, and a huge hip toss, sending Birchall onto his back. And James Tighe lifting him to his feet, finally succeeding and dumping him down with a slam. Tighe now ready to ascend the top rope. What could he be looking for here? Flying headbutt from James Tighe. Colliding with Paul Birchall with impact, but has Tighe taken too much out of himself with that manoeuvre? A standing 10 count. Both wrestlers slow to their feet. Paul Birchall up on his feet slightly before James Tighe, incredibly enough. Hard series of forearms by Tighe in the corner. Irish whip, and Birchall hitting the buckle with velocity. Tighe hitting Birchall with velocity, those double knees. Absolutely picture perfect double underhook suplex from Tighe, and 1, 2, kick out. Tighe lifting Birchall up, looking for an Irish whip, but Birchall switching the momentum and sending Tighe high into the air with an enormous back body drop, and Birchall back up on his feet finally. Series of clotheslines charging off the rope, and a leaping clothesline taking Tighe down. This could be it. 1, 2, and a kick out just before the 3 from James Tighe, raising his shoulder off the mat. And once more, both wrestlers are down from exhaustion. Fatigue setting in for both men. The crowd voicing their support for both men for the standard of this matchup. And Birchall now hoisting up Tighe, looking for a suplex perhaps. Tighe being met up top by Birchall, who's hooking on, and yes, he's looking for that superplex. He gets it. Could this be it? 1, 2, no! 2 4/5 from Birchall. James Tighe managing to raise one shoulder off the mat. And Birchall dropping a knee. And what on earth could Birchall be ready to climb to the top rope? Apparently so. Turning around, could it be the moonsault? Yes, it could. Unbelievable moonsault from the top rope by Paul Birchall, but Tighe moving out of the way. He had the move scouted. Absolutely incredible manoeuvre, but there was no water in the pool. He came down for a hard landing. 1, 2, 3, no, 2 count only. Tighe with Birchall back on his feet. Birchall managing to reverse, but a scintillating sky-high moonsault dropkick from James Tighe. Tighe making his way back up to his feet. Tighe created a fantastic opening after Birchall missed that breathtaking moonsault, and he followed up with the dropkick. Now he's ready to put it away with the Titanic, but Birchall landing on his feet, looking for the C4. James Tighe, however, elbowing out. Irish whip. Birchall reversing, however, James Tighe looking for a body slam. Birchall landing on his feet, Tighe reversing. C4, he gets it. 1, 2, and 3, and it is all over. Paul Birchall has defeated James Tighe in his final encounter for the FWA Academy. The fans giving a well-deserved ovation to this matchup. Paul Birchall has acquitted himself very nicely in this, his final matchup for the Academy. The place where he was trained, the place where he grew as a professional wrestler, the place where he debuted. Paul Birchall is now ready to take on the world on the grandest stage of them all. But before he does that, he's having his hand raised here at Buckland Community Centre, where it all began. James Tighe, one of his greatest friends outside the ring, the man who helped train him, groggily rising to his feet, defeated by Paul Birchall. Birchall extending a hand, and James Tighe gratefully accepting it, and a hug in the centre of the ring. Tighe raising Birchall's hand above his head, and James Tighe dropping to one knee. The fans now standing on their feet and chanting Birchall's name. Paul Birchall heading to the back one final time.
February, and we're going to take a look at Tyrone Johnson's exciting debut against the one and only Dan Head.
February 2005 was a very important month for Tyrone Johnson. It was my first match in the FWA Academy, only to go up against Dan Head, one of the rising stars of the Academy.
Tyrone Johnson making his way out, ready for action alongside Alan Gallagher, his entourage partner. Tyrone Johnson pumped for making his singles debut here at Buckland Community Centre.
And his opponent.
Johnson preparing himself for combat, and there behind the curtain we see the man that he will be debuting against. Dan Head looking in stellar physical condition here. Dan Head greeting the fans at ringside before entering the ring. And he'll be going up against an entourage member, Alan Gallagher, at ringside, but Tyrone Johnson will be in the ring.
Introducing first, making his singles debut tonight, representing the entourage and being accompanied by
Johnson, a competitor with a great deal of attitude. Dan Head, ever popular, ever a fan favourite wherever he goes in the UK. Tyrone Johnson, far brasher, with far less to recommend him or endear him to the fans here in Buckland Community Centre. The entourage on the outside, an ever-present intangible that are often willing to become extremely tangible indeed. It remains to be seen how much Alan Gallagher is prepared to interject himself in this Tyrone Johnson's debut matchup. And a head scissors by Johnson. Dan Head searching for a way out, hopping round into a headlock. Beautiful reversal there from young Dan Head. Headlock by Head and a wrist lock reversal by Tyrone Johnson, looking extremely competent in the ring against Dan Head in the early goings of this matchup. Roll backwards into a nip up, classic Dan Head. And Johnson, of course, as an entourage member, will have received personal one-to-one tuition from Mark Sloan and every other member of the entourage. Johnson looking for a forearm shot there, reversed by Dan Head, and these two exchanging wristlock reversals. Johnson scoring with a forearm and a final wristlock reversal, taking Dan Head over onto his back. Tyrone appears to be looking for a test of strength. Yes, there he is. Dan Head looking willing to accept. And Johnson holding up his other arm. Head tentatively lacing his right arm to Johnson's left. And now both hands locked. And Johnson bearing down upon him there.
This is your hero. I feel sorry for you.
Dear me. Johnson with a extremely brash attitude, but Dan Head responding with a series of headbutts and a lovely choke. Tyrone Johnson cartwheeling out, however. Hard clothesline from Johnson. A pair of clotheslines ducked. Sleep. And a pair of leapfrogs from Johnson, looking for a third. Dan Head giving it a quick up yours and taking him down with an arm drag. Doesn't quite get it, however. Johnson looking for another clothesline. Dan Head there with the arm drag. Again, still not managing to score with that manoeuvre, ducking the clothesline and a wheelbarrow. And finally scoring with that arm drag. Dan Head taking Johnson down. Fantastic exchange from these two. And Johnson getting switched all the way to the outside by Dan Head, who's one step ahead of the entourage member. Alan Gallagher looking on distraught at ringside. Dan Head looking very confident and on top of his game. Dan Head chasing Gallagher around ringside, and there's Tyrone Johnson with an enormous clothesline. Dan Head taken hard onto the floor, and those mats have negligible protection, taking Dan Head straight down onto his back, running him into the ring post and rolling him back in. And there, as I said before, the intangible becoming tangible. Alan Gallagher interjecting himself. Rear chin lock by Tyrone Johnson, once more burying that knee into the small of his back, and Dan Head in a great deal of pain. Johnson now lifting him up and dropping an elbow on him, and once more pulling the hair in almost a crossface style submission, simply wrenching at his face. Kick to the gut. Irish whip, hits the corner hard, and we've got a big back body drop there. And Johnson once more for those double buys, very pleased with himself. 1, 2, and a kick out by Dan Head. Tyrone Johnson, despite this being his debut matchup, taking every chance in the book there with his covering, simply draping a knee casually over Danny Head, and Dan Head is not a wrestler who should be underestimated. Hard forearm, and one shot to the back. And Tyrone Johnson hoisting Dan Head up and looking for a power slam. Doesn't get it though, and Dan Head once more scoring with an arm drag. Make that 2. And charging off the ropes. Tilt-a-whirl head scissors. Fantastic stuff from Dan Head. Johnson lifted back up onto his feet, managing to reverse the Irish whip. And Dan Head with another tilt-a-whirl, landing on his feet however. Shot to the gut, and Dan Head with an ace crusher off the ropes. Brilliant. Head looking for a cover. 1, 2. Kick out before the 3 from Tyrone Johnson, absorbing that ace crusher and managing to continue fighting. Dan Head, Irish whip. Looking for the drop kick, but doesn't get it. Tyrone Johnson managing to hold on to those ropes. And Johnson lifting him up, and a great big back suplex, taking Dan Head down onto the mat. Dan Head being lifted up one more time. Atomic drop, and another back suplex. Johnson working Dan Head over methodically. 1, 2. And a kick out, and there's no doubting Johnson's athletic credentials here in the ring. He is acquitting himself very well indeed. Hard shot to the buckle. And Johnson taking Dan Head up to the middle rope, and a hard forearm. Johnson looking to take things high risk. And it's great to see that Tyrone Johnson is not lacking in confidence. Superplex attempt, but Dan Head pushing Johnson off. And a fabulous high cross body from Dan Head, sailing through the air and taking Johnson down with maximum impact. Dan Head reversing and looking for the headliner. He gets it. Johnson taken down and rolling straight to the outside. Wise move from Tyrone Johnson, albeit rather cowardly. And Dan Head up on the top rope. Tyrone Johnson is not safe. Johnson nor Gallagher have seen him, and a fantastic diving headbutt, sailing across 3/4 of the length of the ring down to the floor and crashing out on both Johnson and Alan Gallagher in something of sweet revenge for the plan perpetrated by those two earlier on in the matchup. Johnson now must be shaken by that manoeuvre. Dan Head climbing back into the ring. Irish whip, clothesline ducked, and enormous spine buster by Tyrone Johnson. Dan Head looking for a leapfrog, but no cigar, as Johnson catching him and drilling him back first into the mat. Dan Head lifted back up and pushed into the corner. Tyrone Johnson with a hard shoulder. Make that 2 to the lower back. And an Irish whip into the opposing buckle. Dan Head draped down upon the floor. Johnson lifting him to his feet and hoisting him back up. Could he be looking for that superplex he attempted earlier on in the matchup? There were dire consequences for him that time. Surely he doesn't want to repeat the same mistake hoisting Dan Head up. Yes, he's looking for superplex, but this time he scores. Dan Head taken down onto his back with that manoeuvre. Cover attempt, 1, 2. Dan Head just kicking out, just raising his shoulder off the mat before the final 3 count. Both wrestlers fatigued and weary. Johnson simply slapping Dan Head around the back of the head. Kick to the ribs, and Johnson is looking exhausted. Another slap, but Dan Head getting a second wind, inner resources, and Dan Head firing back. Those trapping headbutts. Dan Head is not a man to be trifled with or taken lightly. Dan Head simply exploding with forearms and chops, charging off the ropes. Again, simply going ballistic on Tyrone Johnson in the corner. Johnson pushing him off, but Dan Head, like a rabid animal, Irish whip. Hard headbutt taking Johnson straight down onto his back. And now Dan Head looking for the inverted tree of woe. He's got it. Johnson is tied up in those ropes, and Dan Head knows that he has him on the back foot. Charging off those ropes. Headbutt. Headbutt. And we all know what's coming after the headbutt. There it is. It's that sickening DDT. Tyrone Johnson just dropped straight on his head. This should be all. 1, 2. And good God, the last possible second, Tyrone Johnson placing 1 foot on the bottom rope. And that was enough to secure his continuing existence within this matchup. And managing to reverse somehow that enormous power slam. 1, 2, and a kick out by Dan Head. Tyrone Johnson, incredibly enough, managing to reverse that Irish whip just after scoring that DDT directly on his head. And Johnson, frustrated, of putting in a fine show of spirit in his debut matchup against Dan Head. Blue Thunder attempt, but a Hurricane Rana by Tyrone Johnson. Dan Head lifting up the higher education, but no, dropping him down. Hard forearm shot, and Tyrone Johnson now. Can it be the Blue Thunder driver? Yes, it is. This should be all. 1, 2, and Dan Head placing 1 foot on the bottom rope at the last possible second. Tyrone Johnson cannot believe it. To be honest, neither can I, but Dan Head is back up on his feet, and Johnson threatening the referee. But what he hasn't seen is that Dan Head is back up on his feet. Could it be higher education time? Yes, it could. He scores with a education. But he's looking for the flying headbutt. Dan Head ready to ascend the ropes and dive down onto Johnson. If he scores with it, this could be all. He should have gone for the pinfall perhaps. But no, there it is. Headbutt from the top, which means 1, 2, 3. Surely 1, 2. Oh, good God, Alan Gallagher, entourage member, interjecting himself. That was it. The pinfall was academic following the education and the headbutt, and we have a disqualification. A disappointing end to Tyrone Johnson's debut matchup.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tyrone Johnson being disqualified.
Dan Head going to town on Alan Gallagher. Clothesline to the outside. Dan Head in a rage, but a fine performance from both competitors, truth be told. Despite Tyrone Johnson's propensity towards breaking the rules, he clearly has a bright future at the FWA Academy, with or without the entourage.
Next up, we have the final match in the round robin tournament on the first Academy Super Show in April. This match was between Dan Head and Mark Underwood and was for the Academy title.
The next match you're about to see was from the April Academy Supercard 1. It was for the FWA Academy Championship and it was against Mark Underwood. It was possibly one of the most important matches in my career.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for tonight's main event! This is the final match in the round robin tournament, and to briefly go over what's happened tonight, Mark Underwood currently leads with 2 points thanks to the disqualification victory over Doug Williams. This is a must-win situation for both Dan Head and for the champion. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing first,
The stakes have never been higher. Dan Head, Mark Underwood, the finals of the round robin tournament, and it is a must-win situation for this young man, Dan Head, who gave it his all against Doug Williams, and who will now be going one-on-one with the champ. Dan Head gesturing that belt will be coming home around his waist if he has his way. And by the looks of things, if the fans have their way too, because Dan Head is proving to be a very popular competitor indeed.
and his opponent,
Mark Underwood, your FWA Academy champion. And if he beats Dan Head, he'll be going home with the belt. Despite almost impossible odds, a round robin tournament, 2 matches in one night. He wrestled the first match of the show and he'll be wrestling the last. Mark Underwood faced Doug Williams. And now he's facing Dan Head. Rising majestically to the middle rope. Underwood raising that belt above his head. Will it be for the last time?
this is the last match in the round robin tournament, and it is for the Frontier Wrestling Alliance Academy Championship. Introducing first from Portsmouth, Dan Head. And his opponent from Eastleigh, Southampton, weighing 240 pounds. He's the FWA Academy Champion, Mark Underwood.
Underwood kissing the belt. Is he kissing the belt or is he kissing it goodbye? Dan Head giving it a kiss for good measure. One of these two men will take that belt home with them. It could be Dan Head, it could be Mark Underwood, and Dan Head is getting this match going. The fans are clapping, and this FWA Academy title match is getting underway. We've got Mark Underwood and we've got Dan Head going at it. The finals of the round robin tournament, the bell has rung, and these two men are locking horns with Underwood, hurling Dan Head into the corner.
You need to close the screen and use the viewfinder.
Yeah, but you can't climb a rope, can you?
Close the viewfinder thing. The screen needs to have a battery.
Another lock up. Underwood once more hurling Dan Head onto his shoulders and back, grinning. He thinks that perhaps he's got the advantage, that Dan Head, as we all know, is so resourceful and so wily. He doesn't even look phased. These two going for a lock up again, but Dan Head latching on a headlock. Underwood attempting to hurl Dan Head off the ropes, using momentum. Dan Head latching it on, nice and tight. Underwood rolling him up, but Dan Head again tenaciously holding on. Snapping the manoeuvre on. Dan Head charging off the ropes and taking Underwood down in a headlock takedown. The fans, each and every one of them, willing Dan Head on, urging him to win this matchup from the bottoms of their souls. Underwood lifting Dan Head up and hurling him off. Brute strength, raw power, scary force onto his shoulder. Dan Head being slapped backwards into the ropes and firing back with a shot, but Underwood blocking and rolling backwards into a Robert takedown and a front face lock on the floor. The fans passionately vocal about this matchup as Underwood uses all of his 18 plus weight against Dan Head. Dan Head battles for the ropes, searching for a way out of this manoeuvre, urging himself not to submit, battling, courageously fighting his way out. Underwood blocking, looking for a suplex, but no, Dan Head landing on his feet and charging off the ropes, only to be met with a shoulder rock. But my goodness me, Dan Head charging, hit again, but no, there is no quit in Dan Head. Going for a roll up, 1, 2, kick out. Dan Head charging off the ropes. Hip toss attempt by Underwood. Dan Head blocking. Leaping over into another roll up, absolutely beautiful. Dan Head back up on his feet again. Sunset flip attempt. Dan Head being lifted through in a choke, searching for a way out. Shot blocked. And Underwood with a clothesline. One more. Bringing him back up each time and twisting round into a back elbow, folding Dan Head all the way over. And Underwood responding to the chants of the fans by evacuating the contents of his nasal cavities all over Dan Head. These two, the antithesis of each other. Underwood, bulky, rule breaking as we see there, with an extremely bad attitude, methodical. Dan Head, young, vibrant, fast, honourable, energetic, passionate. And dear me, Underwood mocking the fans and mocking Dan Head, bravely fighting his way up to his feet. And Underwood beckoning Head on, but perhaps that wasn't the wisest of ideas, because Dan Head, like a cornered animal, will keep fighting until he drops, and as we see, that may not happen anytime soon, but perhaps I should change my tune, because Dan Head just got hurled through the air with a head and arm Underwood plex straight onto his back. 1, 2, kick out from Dan Head. Dan Head dove through the air at least 3 times against Doug Williams, once to the floor and 2 missed flying headbutts. How much will that take its toll? He also absorbed the Chaos Theory German suplex that might have spelled doom for Dan Head. Underwood again using the ropes despite admonishment from the referee. Dan Head searching for a way out. Underwood bending the rules when the referee's back is turned. The Head firing off with kicks. A super kick caught, and oh lord, surely not. Capture suplex, dangerously dropping Dan Head straight on his shoulders. 1, 2, and a kick out at the last minute. Dan Head choked across the bottom rope. He's already absorbed more punishment in one match than many other competitors could withstand, but he's out here fighting against the FWA Academy champion, Mark Underwood, the man who bullied his way to the top of the pile with manoeuvres such as that crushing elbow blow to the back of the head. 1, 2, and no again. Dan Head proving that he has the resources, the mettle, and the guts to kick out. Bear hug now. Underwood wrenching those ribs, that spine, the air, the lungs. Dan Head is being compressed. The crowd behind Dan Head, firing back. He's broken the bear hug and looking for a double axe handle, but no. Underwood latching it straight back on. Dan Head draping downwards, slowly becoming lifeless. Elbow to the side of the head. Make that 2. A third. And a headbutt. Double axe handle attempt one more time, but no. Mark Underwood folding Dan Head up like an accordion on his head with a salto suplex. Unbelievably disgusting manoeuvre, and that great big smirk, that grimace on the pasty face of our Academy champion says it all. And once more the bear hug is latched on with devastating effect, especially considering what Dan Head just endured after attempting that middle rope axe handle manoeuvre. Dan Head looking lifeless and limp, and his hand is being dropped. Referee Andy Quilden raising the hand one more time, dropping it for a second time. This could well be all. But no, Dan Head with one hand raised high, shaking, quivering with emotion, adrenaline, tiredness, everything, exhaustion, fatigue, but fighting on, continuing. Mark Underwood telling him to bring it, and Dan Head more than happy to do so. A shot to the face, and Underwood with a grin, a headbutt staggering him. Dan Head charging off the ropes. 1, a second headbutt, charging off again. Still, Underwood refusing to drop. Dan Head grasping both of those enormous arms and those trapping headbutts with everything that Dan has left from the recesses of his soul. And Mark Underwood staggering, still on his feet. And finally, Dan Head has felled the beast through pure effort. And can this be all? 1, 2, and a kick out before the 3. Dan Head cannot believe it. He gave everything that he had to those headbutts, but Underwood is staggered, and Dan Head hurling him over his head with unholy strength and a T-bone suplex. Unbelievable. Underwood on his back. Too near the ropes. Dan Head, fatigued and unable to see where his opponent is. Unable to focus perhaps. Irish whip. He gets it. And looking for a spinning heel kick. Oh my goodness me! That unnamed suplex. We've only seen it once or twice before. But Mark Underwood used it again to devastating effect on Dan Head. Dan Head doing his best to crawl back up to his feet. But Mark Underwood very much on top and the man to beat. Pulling Head out of the corner and lifting him over onto the apron. No, Dan Head on the middle rope. Underwood battering him. And could he be looking for that middle rope TKO we've seen once before? My God. No, perhaps looking for a top rope suplex of some kind. He gets it. My God, the impact, sickening. Dan Head landing on his hips, his shoulder, his rib, his back, his head bouncing off the floor. We've got a double standing 10 count and Dan Head dragging himself desperately over to the ropes. Anything he can do. And Underwood on top of him. 1, 2. Attempting to pin him. Doesn't work. Full body weight, but still Dan Head persists in fighting on. So much courage. Mark Underwood exchanging harsh words with fans at ringside, simply cheering Dan Head on. Underwood unable to cope with this, placing Dan Head up on the middle rope, and my God, it looks like he's going for that TKO. Dan Head doing all that he can, elbowing him, and a drop kick to the legs. And Underwood is trapped in the reverse tree of woe. Two headbutts and the DDT straight from hell, drilling Underwood into oblivion off that middle rope. Dan Head gritting his teeth, sucking it in, dragging Underwood down and signalling that it is time for the flying headbutt. The fans want to see it, and Dan Head ascends that top rope one more time. Could this be one risk too many? No, he scores. This could be all. This could be the moment where Dan Head fulfills his career. And Doug Williams in the ring. He slid the belt to Dan Head, and he knows that there's no chance of him winning the belt. He slid the Academy Championship to Dan Head, but Dan Head, he's put it back. He shook his head. Doug Williams looking nonplussed. Mark Underwood is on his feet. Dan Head putting the belt down, lifting Underwood up onto his feet. Incredible strength. And there is the higher education. 1, 2, 3. And we have a new Academy champion in the form of Dan Head. He's won the round robin tournament, and Doug Williams lifting him up to his feet. He's got the belt, and Dan Head has done it. He can't believe it, but there it is. That belt, the FWA Academy Championship, within his grasp. He's climbed the mountain. A hug with Doug Williams, and on the grandest stage of them all, Dan Head upped his game, stepped up to the plate, and proved to the world that he had what it took to be FWA Academy Champion. He did it the man's way. He didn't bend the rules. He didn't break them. He didn't use that belt to smack Mark Underwood round the head. All it took was a headbutt and a higher education, and that means that Dan Head is your FWA Academy champion. As the fans chant Dan Head's name rapturously, he stands in the ring, kissing the belt he's earned through blood, sweat and tears. He raises his hands and he knows that he's done it. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the first ever FWA Academy Super Show at the Mountbatten Centre. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon.
Also happened in April and sees Mark Sloan going head to head with Lacayo in a 3-falls match.
Is one I had with the FWA Academy trainer Mark Sloan. It was a 2 out of 3 falls match, first full submission, second full pinfall, and the third and final fall it had to come down to it first blood. This is one of my personal favourite matches I had with the head of the entourage.
We are back for further entourage on entourage action. And that is Lacayo making his way around the ring for another singles appearance. Lacayo, perhaps the least experienced of all the entourage members, going one-on-one with his mentor Mark Sloan in a unique matchup. Lacayo shaking hands with the ring announcer Spike Cross. Lacayo recognisable by the constant cheery grin upon his face. Very happy-go-lucky young man. And amidst the smoke, there they are. It's the entourage, excepting Lacayo. They are out in force as a unit, which is rare to see these days. Speculation has arisen that there is something of a rift within the entourage, and Mark Sloan is ready to do battle. Tyrone Johnson and Ollie Burns appear to have made their peace, as Lacayo stands across the ring, ready to do battle.
This 2 out of 3 falls match will be fought as follows. First fall, submissions only. Second fall, pinfalls only. And should it go to a third fall, then it will be a first blood match. Introducing first, to my left, and Lacayo! And his opponent, the specialist Mark Sloan.
A very unique and testing matchup here, as we have at Lacayo v Mark Sloan, and Lacayo attempting to jump the gun there and take the fight to Sloan, who immediately wrenches back his head. And the first fall, as we know, is submissions only. Second fall, pinfalls only. Enormous hip toss there, taking Ant Lacayo down. And third fall, for the first time ever, we have the potential of seeing a first blood match within the academy. And Lacayo nipping up to his feet, and Mark Sloan turning around to be greeted by a chop. European uppercut, neither seeming to have any effect, and a step up enziguri, staggering Sloan. Hard series of forearms, and Sloan with a clothesline ducked. An enormous back body drop all the way down to the floor. Ant Lacayo looking resourceful and resilient, vaulting to the outside but landing cat-like on his feet. Mark Sloan hasn't realised it, and his head smashed against both the apron and the ring post. And Lacayo now herring around the ring, and it appears embedding himself within his fellow entourage members. Mark Sloan unable to find him, but there he is. Ant Lacayo hopping up out of the huddle, using that water bottle to his advantage, but all it appears to have done is hacked Mark Sloan off. Sloan circling the ring and searching for him, but there he is, Ant Lacayo hopping onto his back with a sleeper hold on the outside. The only way to win this matchup is via submission, and good lord, Mark Sloan still caught in the sleeper hold, climbing back into the ring. I don't think that's something I've ever seen before, and Ant Lacayo struggling to latch the manoeuvre back on. Takes Sloan down. But no, back up on his feet and hurling Lacayo into the corner. And Lacayo, however, charging back out. Each time he's knocked back, he seems to charge forward once more. And Sloan with a snapmare of sorts and a horrendous kick to the back. That snapmare landing Lacayo in the tree of woe. And Lacayo with a punch to the head and a double foot stomp off the top rope straight into the face of Ant Lacayo. And I'll be shocked if he is not concussed. His jaw could be dislocated. Ant Lacayo, surely. Hard knee straight to the face. And a horrendous leaping Yakuza kick. And Lacayo, glassy-eyed, dropping down to the floor. Mark Sloan looking calm and collected, getting ready to vault to the top rope. And Lacayo managing to block. A shot blocked and a DDT from nowhere by Lacayo. Mark Sloan crumpling obscenely in a heap. Lacayo needs to find a submission of some kind. Rolling Sloan onto his back and lifting him up. And Lacayo getting the fans going. He really needs to press his advantage. And a soccer kick to the back, followed up by another, neither really having any effect at all. Both very, very weak. Lacayo going back to the sleeper, and innovative manoeuvre there from Sloan, breaking it off. And Lacayo dropping down. but landing in a position where he certainly doesn't want to be. And Lacayo falling onto his back, but Mark Sloan placing him straight back up for another of those kicks. And could it be a third? Yes, it could. And Lacayo taken all the way down, and Mark Sloan bending his face back. Surely Lacayo, simply submit. You have another 2 falls in which to do your work. And Lacayo having his arm hyperextended, his throat bent back, his face contorted, and finally Lacayo doing what is in my opinion the smart thing and submitting for this fall. Mark Sloan looking at ease and unworried within the ring. Lacayo's taken a hell of a beating. To his credit, he's still going, and Mark Sloan organising his pads and kick pads, and Lacayo back up on his feet. Sloan taking a sip of water from the ever-present entourage, and a kick blocked, forearm ducked, side kick, and Lacayo vaulting up into a head scissors. Mark Sloan tumbling to the floor, only to be greeted by the open arms of his entourage members. Baseball slide ducked, and Lacayo with a headstand of sorts on the apron, looking perhaps for a head scissors, but Mark Sloan catching him in a wheelbarrow and smashing his face to pieces, simply obliterating young Lacayo on the guardrail. Good Lord, a hard slap to the face there from the disdainful Sloan, rolling Lacayo back into the ring. Lacayo never really managing to press an advantage. Sloan smashing his head against the turnbuckle, but opting instead to smash it against the ropes. The ropes, of course, nothing but steel cable wrapped in electrical tape. There's nothing soft about them. Sloan continuing his unrelenting onslaught. He's got grabbed hold of the hair, and Lacayo taking a second to shoulder block, and he was looking for a sunset flip to the floor. I was going to say I couldn't believe my eyes. Mark Sloan blocking, Lacayo catching the kick and smashing the foot into the apron. Sloan hopping, Lacayo charging across, back body drop, but landing on the other side of the apron. Mark Sloan with a shot to the gut, climbing up to meet him. Lacayo with a forearm to the head, both men exchanging blows, and a double forearm, and dear oh dear, both men crotched on the top rope. Sloan dropping to his feet first, dropping to the floor first, sorry, and Lacayo tumbling down to meet him. A hard chop from Sloan, and one from Lacayo to be met by another open-handed chop from Sloan, the specialist. Mark Sloan climbing to his feet, and both men going for kicks. Lacayo going for another, but Sloan taking him down. And it's disgusting. Mark Sloan simply stamping on the foot of Lacayo. Lacayo nipping up, only to be greeted with a side kick from the specialist and a kick straight to the shoulder. Hard forearm and an Irish whip. Hard elbow followed up by a twisting enziguri. Those educated feet of Mark Sloan, and a lariat taking Lacayo directly onto his head with some impact. 1, 2, and Lacayo going for the ropes. The second fall, of course, pinfalls only. And Sloan spitting disdainfully in the direction of the fans. Lacayo being pulled to his feet. A slap round the face. Lacayo looking for a clothesline. Landing on his feet, the back suplex, hard forearm, and leaping onto the shoulders of Sloan, looking for a victory roll perhaps. Brought onto his feet. Lacayo ducking an elbow from Sloan, twisting a clothesline round, and a neck breaker. Both men back up, clothesline ducked, and Lacayo hitting a bulldog. Lacayo now, what does he have in mind? Standing moonsault, lovely, he gets it. 1, 2, And a kick out from the specialist before the 3 count. Lacayo perhaps needing to work on his aggressive game plan, taking too much time to befriend the crowd, taking too much time to make his opponent aware of what's going on, taking too much time to allow his opponent to recuperate. And Mark Sloan wrenching backwards, and he's got that crossface submission on, but referee Andy Quilden saying no correctly as well. This fall is pinfalls only, and Mark Sloan, I'm not sure why, with that submission on. And Lacayo searching for the ropes, but surely that won't do him any good either. Mark Sloan simply shouldn't have that submission latched on in that way. This time, however, Mark Sloan spending a little too much time with the fans. And Lacayo being pulled to his feet, his hair tugged backwards, and a kick caught by Sloan, and Lacayo hurled to the top rope, landing and hitting a twisting Hurricane Rana, leaping from the middle rope. Lacayo again taking a little too much time perhaps, climbing to the middle rope moonsault, but landing on his feet. Mark Sloan rolling away, appearing not to have realised. And yes indeed, Sloan taking some time, fooling around with the entourage, having a sip of water. Lacayo playing possum on the floor, holding that stomach of his and feigning injury. Sloan still hasn't noticed, taking a swig of water, hurling it back to his crew and lifting Lacayo up for a suplex. But there it is, Lacayo with a roll up, 1, 2, and a kick out before the 3. Lacayo playing possum. A small package from Sloan, and Lacayo charging off the ropes. Enormous spine buster, and Lacayo looking for a submission hold of his own. But I must stress this again, there are no submission falls in the second. It is pinfall only. It seems thus bizarre that Lacayo has got this manoeuvre latched on. Clothesline ducked, and Mark Sloan firing back and looking for a submission of his own. Again, no submissions in the second fall. It is pinfall only. Mark Sloan now looking for a suplex. He gets a good lord, the Tomorrow Driver. He gets the Tomorrow Driver. Surely this is all. 1, 2, 3. It is indeed. The pinfall is academic following the Tomorrow Driver. And Lacayo taken straight to hell with that final manoeuvre. A brainbuster onto the unrelenting knee of Mark Sloan. Sloan pleased with himself, and a victory over Lacayo, least experienced of the entourage members, who got himself a lesson taught to him in the ring today against the specialist, tugging the hair and pushing him back onto his back. Mark Sloan appears to be done, leaving the ring with his crew. And Ollie Burns coming over to check upon the well-being of Lacayo. Fellow members, I believe, leaving the ring without him, and again evidence of what appears to be a rift within the entourage as everybody else leaves, leaving Lacayo and Ollie Burns to themselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, show your appreciation for Lacayo.
Now we see two more entourage members face off as Alan Gallagher and Lacayo go head to head.
Entourage round robin tournament. It was a tough match. There's a real mixture of styles in this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next contest is a special Entourage versus Entourage challenge match, set for one fall. Introducing first,
and Lacayo conducting a very sinister interview there in the back just before he came out. And Lacayo, always a popular figure with the crowd here at Buckland.
and his opponent,
Gallagher, also of the Entourage, making his way out as this faction continues to attempt to resolve its inner differences.
introducing first from Islington, London, Gallagher, and his opponent from Hayden Island, Lacayo.
Lacayo looking extremely confident, and I think we may have, possibly some sort of bizarre hint there in that interview earlier that if something terrible should happen or something along those lines. I'm not entirely sure what he meant by that, but both members of the Entourage extending a hand of friendship and respect, and these two circling each other. Lacayo and Alan Gallagher ready to do battle. Gallagher, the stronger of the two men, powering Lacayo into the corner. Collar elbow tie up. And Lacayo with a bit of superior speed there perhaps, pressuring Alan Gallagher into the corner. Rear waist lock. Lacayo fighting out, wrist lock. Hammerlock and into a wrist lock. And a roll through by Lacayo. Nip up and searching for the wrist lock. He gets it. Lovely reversal by Gallagher. And a sunset flip attempt by Lacayo, being taken up from a double choke into a wheelbarrow. Landing on his feet, however, in that back suplex attempt. Looking for a head scissors placed on his feet. Alan Gallagher looking for that bulldog onto knee. And Lacayo using that knee to roll up into a victory roll. 1, 2, and I thought that could have been it right there, but apparently not. Gallagher resourceful enough to kick out. Irish whip. Knee attempt by Gallagher. Reverse into a sunset flip by Lacayo. Pin attempt by Gallagher. Crucifix by Lacayo. Both men know each other so well. Switch in. And roll-up attempt by Gallagher. Lacayo climbing to the middle rope with a high cross body. Caught by the stronger Gallagher. And Lacayo wiped out with a power slam. But a kick out before the 3. Beautiful suplex by Alan Gallagher, simply hurling Lacayo down. Rear chinlock applied with a knee. And a sidewalk slam. 1, 2, and a kick out. Gallagher continuing to dominate the far smaller, far younger Ant Lacayo within this entourage, the entourage matchup. Lacayo hurled into the corner. Irish whip. Boot up by Lacayo. And Lacayo looking for a Rana, but powering Gallagher down. Spinning heel kick. Once more taking Alan Gallagher down. And a beautiful drop kick. 1, 2, and a kick out. Tilt-a-whirl. Gallagher looking for a power slam, but Ant Lacayo slipping out. A drop kick, and once more, Lacayo has an opportunity to gain an advantage. Monkey flip attempt, but my goodness me, Hurricane Rana out of nowhere by Ant Lacayo. Fantastic. Lacayo with a wheelbarrow, nothing whatsoever, as Alan Gallagher takes him down with a back suplex after throttling him with those ropes, bouncing his throat straight down, and just about a kick out by Ant Lacayo. My goodness me, Alan Gallagher, ever resourceful. These two are not holding anything back. Double underhook by Gallagher. And there was a kick out there, but was did Gallagher lift Lacayo's shoulder up? Was there a desire by Gallagher to continue inflicting pain upon his teammate? Not entirely sure. Either way, suplex, placing Lacayo up on the middle rope, or the top rope, sorry. Top turnbuckle. Referee Andy Quilden warning Alan Gallagher of those closed fists. And my goodness me, surely not. They are up, and good lord, superplex, taking Lacayo all the way down. Gallagher, it is all over, or so he claims. And looking for the sharpshooter, but Ant Lacayo putting the boots to him, somehow nipping up, and an enziguri, lovely stuff there. I have no idea where Ant Lacayo found the resources. He's paying for it now. Perhaps that burst of adrenaline inspiring him to nip up, but the back must be so fatigued and in pain. Gallagher back up. Real vicious forearms here from both men. And a DDT from Lacayo. Gallagher being sent all the way round and then straight onto his head. And now Lacayo climbing to the top rope instead of making the cover. Must have something else in mind, and as Gallagher turns, we see it to be a missile drop kick from the top rope. 1, 2, and oh my goodness me, almost a 3 count there for Lacayo. Kick to the gut, double chop to the gut, and then to the face. Lacayo with some malice, a hard forearm. And a top rope Hurricane Rana by Lacayo. Surely now this can be a chance for a 3 count. 1, 2, and a kick out before that vital and elusive 3 count by Gallagher. Lacayo getting ready to climb to the top rope again to take another risk. Or no, perhaps opting instead to stick to the middle. Gallagher up on his feet. And Lacayo with a beautiful, I was going to say a lovely Hurricane Rana from the middle, but being spun round by Gallagher, who rolls him round, and instead of going for the pin, rolls straight into the sharpshooter submission maneuver. Lacayo, his back arched back in impossible agony, his lower back. Gallagher needing to lock that move on. There he is, dragging him back in and really sitting down with the maneuver. Those legs, the back, the double grapevine, it is all over for Lacayo, who submits after an admirable showing, but that was Gallagher's intuition there, Gallagher's skill, reversing that Hurricane Rana and rolling him out of the corner into that phenomenal sharpshooter submission maneuver. Gallagher looking down and offering a hand of friendship to the injured young man that is Lacayo, and these two, it is all business, exchanging a hug in the ring.
The 6th match takes us into July and sees Mark Sloan and Ollie fighting for their lives against the 70-stone Pitbulls. Will they survive? Let's find out.
July show. It's myself, Ollie, tag team partner Mark Sloan against the UK Pitbulls, all 70 stone with me.
It's probably our toughest tag match to date.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for tonight's main event. This match is a special tag team attraction set for one fall. Introducing first,
Entourage are ready, willing and able to do battle this evening. Tyrone Johnson and Lacayo, Alan Gallagher, Ollie Burns and the specialist Mark Sloan. Sloan vaulting into the ring, calmly and confidently, as the entourage surround him.
And their opponents.
Ladies and gentlemen, bear witness to the largest tag team in the UK. A combined weight of around 70 stone. Look for 1 second at the enormous spectacle that is the UK Pitbulls. We have Big Dave, formerly one of the strongest men in the UK, and Bulk, no doubt still one of the largest men in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the UK Pitbulls, as imposing and terrifying a sight as you are ever likely to see.
Introducing first to my right, accompanied by the rest of the entourage, the team of Ollie Burns and the specialist Mark Sloan. And their opponents, they are former FWA Tag Team Champions at a combined weight of 70 stone, Bulk and Big D, the UK Pitbulls!
Ollie Burns and Mark Sloan surely must be terrified at the sight of what they see before them. The entourage, no doubt, have formulated a plan of attack with them, but nevertheless, Ollie Burns now, one of the youngest and least experienced wrestlers in the FWA Academy, locking up with Pitbull Bulk, or Pitbull Bulk even. And a predictable result as Ollie Burns getting flung straight onto his back and his head, good lord. An incredible show of strength. And Ollie Burns managing to duck a clothesline and firing off a series of forearms. Irish whip reversed straight into the corner and sent across, and Bulk meeting, thankfully, a pair of boots from Ollie Burns, but a high cross body is caught. Ollie Burns landing on his feet, looking for a kick, and there we have it. An immense clothesline taking Ollie Burns down onto his back. Huge body slam. Just imagining the sight of Ollie Burns getting crushed beneath that immense weight. Lovely double teaming from one of the most established teams in the UK as Big Dave is now in. Boston Crab and Ollie Burns is folded over, and the Pitbulls choosing to win here using that added bit of leverage. Referee Andy Quilden checking on both men. Once more, the Pitbulls cheating to win, surely they wouldn't need to, you might think. But perhaps they're doing it simply out of spite and malice. Whatever the reason, it's getting the job done, because Ollie Burns is certainly on the back foot. And there he is, being pressed through the air, straight onto the knee of Pitbull Bulk. And that is not a soft landing. Ollie staggering around the outside of the ring, disorientated and weakened, climbing back into the ring. Pitbull Bulk, however, straight back on him without a moment's thought. Tilt-a-whirl. Ollie Burns somehow landing on his feet and looking for Hurricane Rana, but taken down into a powerbomb on Mark Sloan, finally interjecting himself for the first time in this matchup and giving Bulk a kicking in the back to attempt to break up that pin. And Big Dave now choking the life out of Ollie Burns in the corner. The referee distracted by Sloan and the entourage. Cunning work on the part of Pitbull Bulk. And an enormous headbutt. And my God, just imagine that for 1 second. The pain Ollie Burns must be experiencing. Ollie Burns attempting to fight out again. And amazingly enough, they're managing to do so, looking for a sunset flip. But no such luck. Moving out of the way of that fist, however, and taking him down in a wrist lock. And finally managing to tag in the specialist Mark Sloan, who takes him down and starts going to town on that arm. Ollie Burns leaping in with an axe handle, and Big Dave having his arm taken apart, formerly an arm belonging, as I said, to one of the strongest men in England. Big Dave entering a number of strongman competitions, as you can see, a formidable physical specimen. And an enormous shoulder tackle, nearly sending Sloan through the ropes. I imagine shoulder tackle on Pitbull Dave would be something akin to hitting a wall at full speed. Sloan sliding through the legs and latching on a headlock, but simply getting chucked straight out of his boots and hurled onto his back. And now he's in a situation where he really doesn't want to be, because here comes Bulk and a pair of headbutts, simply imploding Sloan's cranium there. Irish whip. Sloan managing to duck, leaping into the air but being caught in a bear hug or a pitbull hug by Bolt, and good God, Sloan attempting to fire back. This man surely is not human. And there we have it again. Sloan attempting to stop reeling, doing his best. Once more, hard series of forearms. Managing to break out, Pitbull Bolt almost staggered. Pushed into the corner, and Sloan charging up the ropes. And then an immense spinning barrel roll kick, catching Bulk in the point of the forehead and managing to knock him down, if not quite onto his back, and at least onto his behind. But Bulk is almost straight back up. Bulk wanting to get out of there, and we have got a tag, and Ollie Burns straight back in, gamely going to work on Pitbull Bulk with a series of forearms. Bulk dispensing with the frivolities and simply hurling him away. Ollie Burns now back on, this time with Mark Sloan, and they managed to send Bulk into the ropes. Double Mongolian chop, and they're looking that clothesline, but my God in heaven, Ollie Burns getting destroyed simply by running into Bulk, and Mark Sloan hurled all the way round. And oh my God, Ollie Burns has just been murdered in a public setting. Bulk laughing. That is possibly the most sickening thing I've ever seen. A variation of the tombstone pile driver on the recently deceased Ollie Burns. And Big Dave continuing to pile on the abuse. That horrific manoeuvre, I failed to see how Ollie Burns is even standing, but an Irish whip sending him to the opposing buckle. Dave charging in and compressing those ribs, compressing the internal organs of Ollie Burns. And both men, heads colliding. And I don't think Big Dave was expecting that one, because Ollie Burns blocked off the middle, attempted to run around him, both men, with a nasty collision. And now both men once more attempting to make the tag. Tag to Sloan, and a tag to Bulk. Mark Sloan and Ollie Burns once more again in. And an Irish whip, Bulk hitting the turnbuckles. And taking far too much time to decide what to do. I suppose it does require some thought. Had a lug, 70 stone of humanity around the ring. Irish whip. And oh my God, there comes Bulk, and there comes Big Dave, Mark Sloan. Compressed beneath 70 stone of UK Pitbull and Ollie Burns. What is he doing? This is surely tantamount to suicide. And there was a full Nelson bomb and the leg drop splash combo. Surely that's it. 1, 2, and 3. The UK Pitbulls making their mark on the entourage in the biggest possible way. And what a showing from the most imposing, the most dominating tag team force in the UK today. The UK Pitbulls, Big Dave and Bulk in their very first showing here at Buckland Community Centre, showing that they are a force to be reckoned with. The Pitbulls heading to the back, but no doubt we will see them again at some point in the future. Mark Sloan, battered and bruised, just now getting back up to his feet. Ollie Burns being lifted up off the mat, looking groggy with no idea where he is. They put up a brave fight, certainly, but it was almost inevitable. The fans, nevertheless, showing their support for Sloan and Burns and the effort that they put in. It was a losing effort, but a very impressive one nonetheless.